All right, welcome back, everyone. We're diving deep into the world of the druchii today. Specifically, we're looking at excerpts from Dan Abnett's Warhammer novel, The Blood Price.
Oh, this one is a treat. A real deep dive into druchii society.
This is the story of Malus Darkblade. And let me tell you,
Malus Darkblade.
this guy gets put through the ringer, like right from the start. His own family is out to get him. Talk about a rough childhood, right?
It's fascinating, isn't it? This is not some random elf in the woods.
No, not at all.
We're talking about the heart of druchii society, their capital city, Lurhan,
Oh, yeah, this is like high-stakes, high-society drama.
where power and ruthlessness are the only things that matter.
Exactly, and you really see that play out in Malus's family. I mean, talk about dysfunctional.
Oh, absolutely.
His father, Lurhan, this powerful druchii noble, wants him dead. And then you have his mother, Eldire. She's a powerful sorceress, and she's kind of the only reason Malus hasn't been assassinated yet.
It's that tension that drives the story forward, you know? Lurhan's ambition versus his fear of Eldire's wrath. It's like this constant undercurrent of danger.
You could practically feel it, right? Like a powder keg ready to blow.
Exactly. And right in the middle of it all is Malus, trying to survive.
And then there's this thing called the hakseer-cruise,
The hakseer-cruise.
which is basically, imagine your graduation ceremony involves captaining a pirate ship and raiding your enemies.
That's the druchii for you?
Yeah, like talk about a coming-of-age ritual, right?
Yeah, it's meant to be this test of strength and cunning. You earn glory, you earn riches. But for Malus, it's a carefully constructed death trap.
Yeah, it's less about proving himself and more about just, staying alive.
It highlights that brutality that's just ingrained in their culture, doesn't it? Even their traditions are steeped in violence.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not just his family he has to worry about.
Yeah.
Lurhan's picked this experienced corsair captain, Hethan Gul, to lead the expedition.
Oh, Hethan Gul.
And, well, let's just say his intentions aren't exactly pure.
He's in on the plot, of course. Driven by greed, as most are in druchii society.
Oh, yeah, he's all about that loot.
Lurhan promises him a share of Malus's wealth if he accidentally meets an untimely end.
Yeah, and it gets worse. He's actually planning to sell Malus out to a Bretonnian baron.
You see, even among the druchii, there are levels of ruthlessness.
But here's the thing, and this is where I find Malus interesting. Even though he's totally new to this whole corsair thing, he's not completely clueless. There are these moments where you see his cunning. Like he starts playing dice with the crew.
Oh, the dice game.
It seems like he's just passing the time. But
There's more to it than that.
yeah, he's observing them, figuring out who he can trust, who's a potential threat.
He's already asserting dominance, testing the waters. You gotta remember, in their society, even a subtle display of power can be crucial for survival.
It's like he instinctively understands that. And then he does something really unexpected. Instead of sticking to the safer, Bretonnian coast, he announces they're going to raid Ulthuan,
Ulthuan, the High Elves' home turf.
the High Elves' island, like their most sacred, heavily guarded fortress.
Talk about a power move.
It's incredibly risky, right? Like, is he crazy?
He's basically saying, I'm not playing by your rules, I'm making my own, even if it means sailing straight into the heart of enemy territory.
Yeah. It's like he's challenging fate itself. And speaking of fate, their first encounter with the High Elves does not disappoint. They spot an elven patrol ship in this eerie, misty area called the Blighted Isle, and things escalate quickly.
But that at all, yeah, it's not exactly a welcoming place.
No, not at all. And the elves, they're not about to let them just sail on by.
A tense chase ensues, with both sides trying to outmaneuver each other through the mists. It's a fantastic scene.
And it's not just a chase, it's a full-blown sea battle.
Oh, it gets brutal. Grappling hooks, flaming arrows, hand-to-hand combat on the decks. It's a reminder that these elves, both dark and high, they're fierce warriors.
Absolutely. And it's in this battle that we see Malus really step up. He's wounded, they're outnumbered, but he's right there in the thick of it, fighting alongside his men.
He's not some pampered noble hiding below deck. He's leading the charge, showing he's got the heart of a warrior.
It's impressive, right? You wouldn't necessarily expect that from someone who's basically been thrown into this whole situation. And then he comes up with this plan to infiltrate the elven port city they're raiding, and it's pretty dark.
Dark. That's putting it mildly.
Yeah, he orders his men to use the slain elf warriors as disguises.
I mean, talk about using your enemy's weaknesses against them. It's a chilling tactic, but undeniably effective.
It's a side of Malus we hadn't really seen before. It's like this ruthlessness is starting to emerge out of necessity.
He's adapting, and quickly. He's learning that survival in this world often requires embracing the darkness.
And he's going to need all the ruthlessness he can muster because, well, things are about to get even more complicated. Remember Hethan Gul, our treacherous captain? He's about to make his move, and let's just say it doesn't end well for anyone involved.
No, it doesn't. Betrayal and bloodshed, the hallmarks of druchii society. We'll delve into that next time.
They're dressed up in, well, elf parts. It's a pretty gruesome sight,
All right.
but it's their ticket into the elven
So
town.
gruesome, but effective.
Yeah, and they almost pull it off, too.
Lenara, she's really selling it, you know? This whole act they've put together, pretending to be an elf patrol.
Oh, yeah, she's good.
Even faking exhaustion to make it believable.
It's working until...
Until one elf gets a little too curious, notices something off about Malus's eyes.
Yeah, you can't really hide those piercing black druchii eyes, can you?
Not easily, and that's when the whole plan goes up in smoke.
Everything just explodes.
Yeah.
Suddenly they're fighting for their lives, trying to keep those town gates open long enough for their reinforcements to get in.
Chaos. Utter chaos.
And Malus is right in the middle of it, wounded, outnumbered, but still swinging.
It's interesting, isn't it, to see how he reacts under pressure.
Yeah, he's not just some, pampered noble cowering behind his men.
You start to see that warrior spirit emerge, that tenacity.
And his bodyguard, Silar, he's not just protecting him.
Oh no, so
He's right there with him, fighting side by side.
that dynamic between them, it's fascinating. At first, Silar is all resentment, you know? Spoiled brat, got everything handed to him kind of thing.
Yeah, I get that.
But as they fight together, you see that respect building.
Like they're forging a bond in the heat of battle.
Exactly, but the real test, it comes later. They've sacked the town, right? They've got their loot, they've got their prisoners, they think they're in the clear.
They're sailing off into the sunset.
That's when Gul decides to make his move.
Oh yeah, Gul.
He strands Malus in the raiding party on the Lithuanian coast, knowing full well an elven warship is on its way.
I mean, talk about a backstab.
He even deliberately delays loading the boats just to make sure they don't have time to escape.
This guy, I don't even have words.
No honor among thieves, as they say, especially in druchii society.
So there's Malus, betrayed, wounded, with a whole army of angry elves on the way.
Hopeless, you'd think.
It's like game over, right?
It certainly seems that way, but Malus, he always has a trick up his sleeve, doesn't he?
He does. This is where his survival instincts really kick in.
Remember how we talked about him being more reactive than calculating sometimes?
Yeah, he's improvising.
This is a prime example. He orders his men to kill their own slaves.
The slaves they just captured?
Dresses them up in corsair clothing, makes it look like they were the ones who were slaughtered.
It's a dark, dark move. Even for druchii.
It is, but it's also brilliant in a twisted sort of way.
It buys them time. Right.
Exactly. The elven relief force arrives, sees the scene of carnage, and they assume it's the villagers who are victorious.
And Malus, he uses that confusion to his advantage.
Oh, he seizes the moment.
Ambushes the elves, steals their boats, and makes a run for it, while the real elven warship is busy chasing after Gul and the Manticore.
It's a complete reversal of fortune. I love how Abnett sets this up.
It's like poetic justice, almost. And then, when Malus finally catches up with Gul,
Oh, the revenge.
he doesn't just kill him outright. He makes him suffer.
Slowly, methodically.
Yeah, like every day, he cuts off a little piece of him.
Talk about a grudge.
It's intense. Finally, he offers him up as a sacrifice to these creepy sea witches. I mean, what do you even make of that?
It's a statement, isn't it? He's showing everyone, anyone who might even think about betraying him, this is what happens.
It's effective, but it's also terrifying.
It's power. Raw, brutal power. He's not just trying to survive anymore. He's starting to understand what it takes to truly thrive in this world.
And it's not just about brute force either, right? He's got this cunning, this ability to plan ahead.
He's a strategist at heart, even if he doesn't always show it.
So they limp back to Lurhan, not with the riches they were hoping for,
No, not this time.
but they've got something else.
Experience. Scars. A hardened crew.
And a taste of what it really means to be a druchii.
They've been through the fire and they've come out changed, but what does that mean for their future? Can they survive in this viper's nest, surrounded by enemies?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
So he's back, walking the streets of Lurhan.
Yeah, back in the viper's nest.
And he's got this new look.
New look.
He's got these gold teeth now, like actual gold.
Ah, right. Spoils of war.
Yeah, trophies from that Ulthuan raid. It's kind of creepy, but also kind of cool. He's really been through it, you know?
Yeah, it's more than just trophies. I mean, those gold teeth, they symbolize the change in him.
It's like a physical reminder of what he had to do to survive.
Exactly. The line he's crossed, the darkness he's embraced.
He's not that naive kid anymore.
Not at all. This hakseer-cruise, it was a trial by fire.
He's at that hardened edge now, you can just tell.
The way he carries himself, the way he deals with people.
He's learned that ruthlessness, how to command respect. Or maybe it's fear.
A bit of both, probably.
Remember how he dealt with Gul? Not a quick death, oh no.
No, a message had to be sent.
But he's not all brute force either.
Oh, he's got brains, too.
He's clever. I mean, who would have thought to raid Ulthuan? That was risky, but it paid off, kind of.
He's a gambler, but he's calculated.
And he's got people on his side now, people who believe in him, or at least believe in his potential.
Silar, for one. That bond they formed, fighting side by side.
Silar's loyal now, that's for sure.
And Lunara, she's ambitious, sees an opportunity in Malus.
Yeah, she's definitely playing the game, but she was pretty helpful during that raid.
But can they be trusted? That's the thing about druchii, isn't it?
You never know who's going to backstab you next.
It's a world of shadows and secrets, alliances shifting constantly.
Even Lunara kept that, was his name, the elf who tried to kill Malus.
Amaleth, yes. Kept him around as insurance.
Talk about playing both sides.
It's all about survival, about maneuvering for power.
So, what do you think? What happens next for Malus? He's back in the lion's den, so to speak.
It's anyone's guess, but he's not going down without a fight. He's got experience now, loyal allies, and a reputation that precedes him.
He's learned to play the game, and he's not afraid to bend the rules.
I may even break them.
This is just the beginning, right? For Malus Darkblade.
The beginning of a very dark, very dangerous journey. He could rise to power or fall to ruin. It's all there in front of him. And that's what makes his story so captivating.
Well, that was quite a deep dive, wasn't it? I mean, we saw betrayal, bloodshed, and a hero who's, well, maybe more of an anti-hero. But you can't help but root for him a little, right?
Absolutely. There's something about Malus that draws you in. That ambition, that cunning, that ruthlessness.
It's a reminder that even in the darkest of worlds, even among the druchii, there's always a story to be told.
And this is just the first chapter in Malus Darkblade's saga. Who knows what the future holds for him?
We'll have to wait and see what Dan Abnett has in store for us. Until then, keep exploring, keep diving, and we'll see you next time for another deep dive into the world of Warhammer.